Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Oh, shut up, you tart!
Who disrupts my coronation? Get to the chopper!
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
Quiet on the set.
We're back, bitches. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Calico Productions proudly presents its podcast champions of the world, that bitch, Cali Valentine, and that fat random man with a plan, JB, for Hunya Geek is showing.
Oh,
yeah.
And if you ain't down with that, Jimmy's got 2 words for you.
I don't know what those 2 words are.
Suck it.
He's not a WWF, I'm fucking saying it, fan, clearly.
Oh, well, never mind. But hello, folks.
I
We're
forgot
back.
those 2 words. How did I forget those 2 words?
But yes, as Guy just said, hello everyone over on YouTube land. We're back for a 5th season. They renewed our contract. Don't know why. Maybe somebody bribed them.
Oh, no. Contract.
I didn't see mine.
You didn't get one, son.
Right.
You're freelance.
So then,
In other words,
anyhow,
whenever you're free, we give you a lancing.
Exactly.
anyhow, as we said,
Moving swiftly forward.
with us this week, he's the man with the plan as well. He's a proper hat-wearing Bobby Dazzler, the mouth of the Midlands, Jimmy Lee Upton, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, welcome.
So, join us as we go forth and discuss the left ear, the right ear, and the final frontier. Copyright 1987. People, how have we been?
I've been well in the time off that we've had. We've been about just shy of 2 months, at least according to the comment section anyway. We've had some time off. I've worked more on my books. I'm getting ever so close to publishing them now. Been doing lots of research for tonight's specific episode. Been watching their Supernatural boys, but we'll get into that a little bit more later. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been up, I've been down, I've been left, I've been right, I've been a barrel of dead monkeys. I'm Cali Valentine. I always bounce back. How have you been then, Guy?
Yeah, I've been all right. I've been a busy little boy with lots of adventures over the summer with the family. It's been marvellous. And
You've been
adventures in music as ever, yes.
Of course, yes. Me and Jimmy Lee were present for one of those nights.
It was a good night.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
It was a good night, but the morning after, not so much.
Well, I can't be held responsible for that.
No, that was not your fault. That was definitely self-inflicted, but I had fun inflicting that fun.
Excellent. Jimmy, you been good?
I've been generally good. I've had ups, I've had downs, I've had roundabouts with various other in-life things. But I'm still here, I'm still breathing, and it could be better, it could be worse.
Fucking life in the way, dude.
Exactly. You could be on a podcast with a certain other YouTube channel.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, was that a little bit of shade over there, maybe?
Yeah, you may have thrown that. Oh, pardon me. Started already, folks. I'm windy.
It has. Oh, shit.
So, sorry.
Bitch is definitely back this season, is she not?
She could be. Right, so taking care of business, let's get on with the show. And it's time for the shout-outs.
Woo, woo. Bring it quiet this season. But with the shout outs from the final episode of last season, we have the man, the myth, the beard of kings, the ginger one, the ginger ninja, Mr. JK47.
JK in the fucking house, bitches.
Woo, woo, woo. So I didn't comment on last week's episode. I'm sure I meant to. My bad. No worries, honey. That's perfectly fine. We all make these I didn't press enter fuck ups. Even though I'm not well versed in the Carry On films, was a good episode and great to see Tony on. Yes, again, thank you to Tony Harris on the from over at the Retro Movie Zone for joining us for our Carry On episode last season. But now on to Firefly and Serenity, because that was the topic of last season's final episode. More on that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Firefly never really got a big run on TV over here, or at least not that I saw, but I remember getting the DVD box set from a local library and binging it over, but it all over a weekend. Never looked back, loved it, so much fun. Yeah, as we talked about in that episode, the way it was handled by the studio that was distributing it and showing the episode, put it in a fucked up order. Like the first episode came out, and then number 3, then number 2, then number 4, 5. They made it so goddamn hard to follow that fans could not get into it because it was meant to be an overarching story, which from the people who made Buffy and Angel, you'd expect that kind of storytelling. But anyway, moving on. When the movie came out, again, not a lot of fanfare over here, but on DVD, loved it. I still had the DVD, but of course I upgraded to Blu-ray, and it's just a great film, very overlooked. Sequel issues, just call it Serenity, 20 years later, problem solved. Great video, enjoy the break. Thank you, JK, we did. But Guy, what were your thoughts on Firefly? We'll quickly cover this now because you weren't around for that episode, unfortunately. You were gigging.
Yes, I was gigging indeed. Guess what? I watched it.
Right, taking a leaf out of Tony books, we're going to start a list of guys never seen.
Like a leaf on the wind.
Oh, don't you start, son.
Yeah, don't you get uppity, Jimmy.
We'll mention things you've not seen.
Still catching up on other things, aren't I?
Yes, and the next comment comes from Rain95932. Which version of Eddie Munson? Stealing that for when I need it. For context, Rain is Jimmy's sister.
Ah, right, okay.
Yes, so I've given her a new insult to throw at him, which I just think is fucking marvelous, you know.
And I believe she's used it at least twice.
She's not wrong though. Look at the current outfit.
Siblings.
No, I can't. I mean, I've even got the Firefly T-shirt on tonight. So, you know, more thrilling heroics presented to you by Jane Cobb.
And that is it for the shout-outs from last season.
Wicked. Lovely.
That means it's because it's a new season, we got a whole new load of shout-outs to do next week, which means we'll probably have like 2 comments to reply to.
Yeah, probably. And one of them will probably be Jim.
Probably.
Probably be Jimmy asking Jimmy a fucking question about Jimmy.
Yeah.
Dear
Jim. Oh, no, not dear Jim.
Oh, no, don't do that. No.
No, I'm not quite that bad.
That's the wrong dear Jim. That's the wrong dear Jim.
I'm not fixing it for you, boy.
Fix it for Nope.
And already we've started with the jokes.
Yeah.
Right, let's...
Hey, no joke. I'm one of the lucky ones. I didn't get my letter read out. Fucking wrinkly old man cunt.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you did ask him to blindfold milk a cow, and, you know...
He probably did that off camera.
Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Yes, it is time to go back in time and ask the age-old question that was written on caves by sticks with men with beards and other such things. What have you been watching, mate? You first, Cali.
Well, what have I been watching recently? In the 2 months since I've been off, I watched a little bit more Supernatural. Then it was decided upon. I've got up to I'm halfway through season 10 now, so I'm getting there. I'm nearly at the end. My daughter, God bless her, she's only just started the journey. She's on episode 2 of season 1, so she's just started the journey. God bless her. And I said to her, "It's a mammoth. It's a mammoth of a watch to get through it. All 15 seasons. I've had to take long breaks in. I get about 5 seasons done." And I'm like, I need a break. I need a little break. I'm just getting too much here in my brain with that. So I need a little bit of break. So when it was decided on tonight's topic of the episode, I decided perfect opportunity to take a break from that there Supernatural. So I watched some other things.
Talking like
It was a
that.
long road from getting there to here.
Don't be talking that way around the adjudicator. She'll not take my kindly to that. You wanted to take a break from the Jen Snackles.
What? It's more.
She's looking. She's
It's more
looking.
Sam I need to take a break from. He gets a bit whiny after a while. As cute as Sam is, he gets a bit whiny after a while. It's like, oh, shut up.
Don't be saying that in earshot.
I'm a Dean girl through and through.
No,
I
okay.
don't know how to take that, considering my sister thinks I seem to have a lot of Sam's sort of gestures and emotion.
You wish.
So that's what there's an in joke there with my sister.
Anyway, outside of watching stuff for tonight's little subjecty episode kind of thing, I went to the cinema because it fell right around my daughter's birthday.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, but I went to see Beetlejuice. And I have to say this.
Up or down?
Double thumbs up.
Ooh.
Very much like how when both of us watched Prey for the first time and we said it doesn't beat the original, but it matches it. That for me is the perfect thing to say about Beetlejuice. It doesn't do it better than the original, but it doesn't try to. It's just trying to tell another story set in that universe. And the only complaint I will have, and I've discussed this with Jimmy before, and it's not really spoiler, because it was just I had a theory, and that theory panned out, is that in all of the promotional material, there's been no sign of Gina Davis or Alec Baldwin for obvious reasons on that one. Oh yeah, there was but
I mean,
the explanation that's given in the film,
He was fired.
It's a throwaway line, and it's very wishy-washy, hand-wavy, like, oh no, this happened. Like, and I was like, that was the one thing I was hoping they didn't do. That was the one, even if it was just like a little flashback moment where you saw kind of what happened and you didn't really see their faces. But there was a way they could have done it, and it would have just been like, oh, we got to see the characters one last time kind of thing. Just to kind of have it as a throwaway, no, this happened. It's like, really? But the rest of the film, the special effects are mostly done using the original idea, like practical effects, stop motion, that kind of thing. There are some CGI bits, but they're blinking, it's over. You don't get time to really register. You know that it's CG, but it's not on the screen long enough to be like, oh God, that's CG. So, but definitely worth a watch if you intend on watching it. As soon as it comes out, get it. Watch it.
Right. Well, I do want to watch it. I just don't want to pay them cinema prices.
Yeah, the only reason I went is because me, Jen, and Cass, we got a deal on 3 tickets. It should have cost us a lot more, but we got a decent deal on it, and it was the deluxe seats where you can recline and shit. So, you know, I got there with a little table, little drink holder, reclining seat. I just got all comfy. I was like, I just need a pillow.
Yeah, problem is with that, I'd fall asleep.
Yes.
I remember working in the cinema, and the deluxe seats, they are kind of worth the extra price tag normally to an extent.
Yeah. But yeah, that is what I've been watching over the little sabbatical we've had. Guy, throwing it back over to you. What have you watched in the last few months?
Well, I finished the Supernatural journey.
I figured you had.
Yes, because, you know, I've got an attention span.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, you can. I went
get a flashcard with a printout of my hand on it so I can just hold it up.
You need a badge. No,
Yeah.
Don't be a prick.
Yeah, there you go.
There it goes, my last flying fuck.
Right, anyway, Guy, what you been watching?
Finished Supernatural, went for a big old Bruce Lee phase, and watched all his movies, which was marvelous fun. I meant to watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and I haven't got around to it.
I watched that as well in the time off as well.
I've been busy having sort of going off places and having fun
Yeah,
and having
yeah.
holidays and have new windows done and
Of
shit.
course,
So
life
shit
stuff.
kind of got sideways.
Life stuff.
Mm,
We get it.
but I do intend to watch it.
I did watch it, and I won't spoil anything because it does kind of pick up on stuff that was hinted at in the originals and stuff. It's very good. Okay, you know me, I'm not a big fan of CGI or nothing like that. But in a film like this, I can accept it because it's really the only way to do it any
Well,
justice.
yeah, it's the only way you can do it, really.
Exactly. So I kind of give films like that a leeway because it's like, if this is the only way to physically do it,
Those films
fine.
as well, they're kind of motion captured mostly. So it's
Force
still
capture,
you've
yeah.
still got the actors. The actors are doing the movements. They're just CGI over.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that still works.
One thing I can definitely say about it is there are some kind of like establishing shots of like vistas and views and stuff like that. And there are times where just watching it, you're like, wow, this film is beautiful in its own kind of way, like with the overgrown buildings and nature's taking back everything. Because I think it's like 600 years after the last one. So you see the decaying remains of society, and it's like, wow, that is so goddamn pretty to look at. That was the one thing I took away from that film, was the story was good, but there were just certain scenes where I just wanted to pause it and be like, that's stunning. You know what I mean? And it shows what CGI can do. But yeah, anyway, continue.
Yeah, and I also realised, well, myself and the adjudicator guys, it's been 20 years since The Sopranos, so we're going through that at the minute.
Has it?
Yeah.
Wow.
That made me feel thanks.
That's still on my watch.
I remember that coming out on TV back in the day. Damn. 20 years, really? I didn't think it'd been that long.
Yeah. So that has been brilliant. I still think it's probably the best show that's ever been made for TV.
Yeah. I didn't watch much of it back in the day. I did catch episodes here and there, and I knew the general idea of it. And yeah, I can kind of agree with you on that one, yeah.
Jimmy, what you been watching?
Well, between live stuff and that, my watch list continues to grow. And
so does my Johnson.
No, so what have I been watching? We have me and the lady wife have managed to start watching a number of bits. So I did manage a couple more episodes of them there Winchester Boys. We're still in season 1. The last episode I watched was the one where they get trounced because of the Native American burial ground and all the insects. So we are still in season 1. It's going to be a long road. That is a long watch. But we've been watching Dink Dink, Law and Order, Special Victims Unit. And we've been watching CSI, the original, not any of the others, the CSI.
I was going to say, because there's so many of them down there.
There are so many of those ones. And I've watched quite a few over the years. And I remember watching the one with Gibbs in originally. And I know that's a later one. And we're with Fishburne and gang. So we've been watching that. My other watch list, the child's TV cartoons has improved. We are now watching. We're into season 2 of What If, because my son actually decided to binge watch and not let me turn What If season 1 off. So we've been binge watched that. We're into season 2, and I haven't watched that, so that's really quite nice to watch. You know, I'm watching sort of something adult, but he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
Something that I'm not quite enjoying the reminiscing of and seeing it's very goddamn dated. We're still watching the X-Men. We're still watching Spider-Man, but we've now added Iron Man to the roster.
Oh, wow.
Iron Man.
He enjoys it, but Jesus Christ, the CG in that. You're talking about CGI and bad CGI. Oh my
Early
Lord.
90s CG was...
Honestly, if you want to go back in time and see how bad CG was once upon yesteryear, yeah, go watch that. It's not as good as I remember.
I can definitely vouch for that as well, being a Transformers fangirl, trying to go back and watch things like Beast Wars by today's standards of CGI. It's
It's dated.
It's bad. It was great
Dated
for its time.
badly. And
Great
another
for its
series,
time, but not now. Not now.
I managed, because in the busy schedule, I managed like 5 minutes the one night on my own of another series with CG that's dated badly that we'll come back round to in a little while, with B5. Babylon 5, for those who don't know what B5 stands for. But I managed 10 minutes of that, and I just, it was a bad night, so I couldn't put up with that.
Okay, then.
think
So
that
that's
budget
Jimmy's watch history.
covers it. That covers it really, because I
Marvelous.
don't. There's Silver Surfer as well. It's mostly Marvel stuff. Me and my son. There's some adult stuff we've got with me. I'm trying to expand that a little.
Babe
And then I
Station.
watched my two
You don't need
favorite
to know about watching
episodes.
Babe Station, Jimmy.
No, I watched my two favorite
Don't
episodes
need
of
to
the
hear about
subject of it.
that adult viewing. Thank you.
I
Yeah,
don't.
needs a 10-minute
Babe
preview.
Station's pointless. You've got modern technology. Pornhub people. Pornhub.
Anyway, moving swiftly on now. After that,
Right. So, is it time for the meat?
it is time for the meat and two veg of tonight's episode, guy.
Lovely. Excellent. So, we're going to go back in time to 1966, but also in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
September
So guess what?
1966, the first episode of Star Trek aired.
Or, if you're in England, 1969.
Yeah, because we had to wait a while. I'm going by the Wikipedia release date, so that's the American release date. That's the official first date. I don't care.
Yeah. So yes, folks, we are talking about that there Star Trek.
Yes, we've planned this episode for quite some time. Both me and Guy, when we first started doing this podcast all those seasons ago,
Yes,
said we'll cover Star Trek at some point, and we were trying to kind of hold off for like a big anniversary year. But then it just got to the point where we're like, fuck it, let's cover it. So
Yeah.
that's what we're doing right now.
we've run out of shit to talk about.
Yeah. So here comes the Star Trek episode. We're going to go from original series up to Enterprise. That is what we're talking about right now. So, Guy, let's continue. You are the captain of this rickety ship flying through the
Captain's log.
cosmos.
You're the captain, she's the commander, and I'm some lower decks guy.
Yeah, you're a red shirt.
Yeah.
I like the red shirts. As long as I'm
Private Jenkins. Wrong franchise. And if you know that reference, Private Jenkins, that's him. First dead out the gate. But yeah, so come on then, Guy. Give us the spiel with Star Trek, the original series.
So, Star Trek, the original series, created, of course, by that there Gene Roddenberry and produced by Desilu Studios originally.
Yes, which I only recently found out was actually Lucille Ball, the comedy from Lucy, you got some splaining to do. For years I knew that reference. I never knew there was a connection between that and Star Trek.
Yeah, I think she mostly bankrolled it just to piss her ex-husband off, to be honest with you.
Probably, but it made how much money it made her.
Watching the documentary where that was covered. She was a big fan, he wasn't, and I'm not 100% sure on that. But I mean, one of her other friends, and I'll come back round to it, Frank Sinatra. We'll get back round to that.
But produced by Gene Roddenberry. What can we say? I mean, there's so much you can say about the original series. Yes, it's a bit shonky, but it's looking back on it, I think it's kind of cool.
It had a big budget for its time as well.
Yeah, it did have a huge budget. To be fair,
1966, which is like 3 years from the moon landing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's got a certain homespun coolness to it. Even the original bridge is
with the squeaky doors.
It's got squeaky doors. They got the best uniform.
With that.
What was that, Guy?
They've got the best uniform.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that in a little bit.
But
Uniforms
yeah,
have always been a thing on Star Trek, so we'll get back to that.
but I think it's got the most iconic characters. out of all.
Oh, Kirk, Spock, McCoy,
That's a few
Bones.
not with us.
Mm.
Yeah, well, I was going to cover that in a little bit.
Oh my!
Oh,
Sorry.
dear. Oh, yeah. Oh, my George.
Oh,
I'm
my.
jumping the gun already. I do apologize.
You know,
But
yeah, the cast alone, so
Mm.
multicultural, multiracial.
yes,
Which for
that was
1966 was a big deal.
that was a big deal.
You know, and
That was part of Gene's vision, though.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing, and this is his vision of
the future.
a perfect society.
Yeah,
Doesn't
yeah,
matter
where
what
race and
nation
all
you've
that
got,
doesn't
doesn't
matter.
matter what nation you're from, humanity as a whole,
Yeah, no
and they're
money.
exploring.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
money, which
There's no money.
everything is
Which
done for the betterment
still
of
to this
mankind.
day causes some conflict because later seasons, but again, maybe we get back to that because the
Mm.
great material continuum.
I think
Well, yeah, but there's
whole-
no money on Earth. It doesn't mean there's not any
that's what I
money.
was just going to get
And,
to.
and again, it gets back to that.
I think
Mm.
it's
There's an
more.
episode I love for that.
I think it's more on Earth. It's a case of they don't do monetary society anymore because everything is done for the betterment of mankind. If other species do trade, then yeah.
Mhm.
They
But
still trade on Earth. They just don't trade money.
no.
Mm.
But sort of going back off what Guy was saying with the characters and things like that, you've got William fucking Shatner as Captain James T. Kirk, or the T standing for Tiberius.
Tiberius.
Yes, which they didn't actually reveal until a bit later on. Like it was always a thing, James T. Kirk, and it wasn't revealed that that was his middle name until later on. I'm not sure when it was revealed. I'm not that big of a Trekkie
That
fan.
was originally going to be James K. Kirk, actually. But that's in a little episode of Blink and Miss It on a gravestone, and I can't remember the episode name. But then they changed it to T,
Okay, fair enough.
and it does work better.
You had Leonard Nimoy as quite honestly pretty much the face of the franchise for
Oh God, yeah.
most of its history.
Arguably.
You know, live long and prosper. You know, all that. The pointy ears. Spock was just
Awesome.
yeah.
Iconic.
It was yeah.
Iconic.
Pop culture zeitgeist for gonna live forever in the hearts and minds of fans. You know, that is the thing with a character like that. They transcend the media they're from.
Highly recommend.
No.
I think
I think
Cali
a
would
lot of the
also highly
characters-
recommend the go and watch if you haven't watched and you want more on him. Go watch the
Spock.
documentary.
Spock. Yes, that
Brilliant.
documentary. Even as not a massive Star Trek fan, I was a fan of Leonard Nimoy because I'm a big Transformers fan. He voiced Galvatron in the movie. That was my connection to him as an actor. And then I saw him in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And then I started watching him in Star Trek. So I kind of came to Spock kind of from the back, which, you know, there's lots of fan fictions where Spock is come out from the back, mostly by Kirk. I know, I realized where that was going when I started saying I was just fucking lean into that shit.
The captain's log is hard.
It's a hard one.
But yeah.
Anyway, but the whole cast of Star Trek really have kind of just become such pop culture icons.
Yeah. Well, arguably,
Or every character, everything. Just
well, without
And they
Michelle
pop
Nichols,
everywhere.
arguably, you don't have Whoopi Goldberg.
yes, as Guinan, but we'll get to that in a little.
Well, no, as a whole career. She's like a black woman's on telly.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
Mom,
and
I could be on telly.
one of the big controversies it caused at the time was the first ever interracial kiss on national television in America.
Yeah, and you could tell by watching them do it, they were both shitting themselves.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
It was, although to the show's credit, it was handled brilliantly.
Mm.
Yeah.
They could not have handled it
I
better if they
don't agree because behind the scenes with that, William Shatner wasn't supposed to have the kiss. It was
Mm.
Leonard Nimoy who was supposed to.
Yeah,
However,
but Shatner in it, he's gonna fucking go. I'm doing that.
but it's Shatner. It's
Yeah.
Shatner. So naturally, he was like, "This is
Well-
going to be like he." So even it's kind of coming from a self-centered sort of view. Even he saw how big that was going to be.
Mm.
So yeah,
But the original series had a 3-season run between 1966 and 1969. So by the time we got it here in the UK, it had already finished.
Yeah.
But
But it just carried on being repeated and repeated in syndication, and it just kept it
yes,
alive.
yes, that was kind of what was the big thing with Star Trek, was the syndication of it. It was rerun for
Years.
decades. I remember watching it in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, because it was rerun that much. The one thing that I did find out kind of very recently, again, not a massive original series fan, is that for a lot of fans, the animated series, both seasons of that,
yeah.
for a lot of fans are actually considered seasons 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Because, and a lot of the writers for Star Trek pointed this out, is that they could do things in animation that the budget would not allow them to do on the live action show, which is include these more weird and wacky looking aliens. I mean, in the animated series, you had a cat alien. You had another alien who worked on the bridge who looked like he had a scrotum for a neck. You know. So
it also introduced a few extra characters that they couldn't get actors for at the time.
yeah,
So
yeah, it was a continuation of it, and you know, fair play to them.
Yeah.
Play to them.
But that brings, I mean, let's face it, without an episode called The Space Seed, we would not have Khan. Khan!
yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Which I did watch this afternoon just to get me in the mood for tonight.
Oh yes, I was watching Center Seat to get me all wrapped up for this.
Because if you go onto Paramount Plus, if you have it, they've got the original series remastered.
Yes,
and it does look rather tasty.
I know someone who's got that on Blu-ray where it's had all the special effects kind of
Edited.
George. I'm gonna call it the George Lucasification. Where he took the OG Star Wars and went, look, you like this? Well, tweak. There you go. It's better. They kind of did that with Star Trek. They kind of just tightened up the special effects and made it a bit more bright and vibrant. Yeah. And yeah, I have seen some of those episodes and they do look a lot better than the OG thing. But before we move on to the next part, let's talk episodes of the OG show.
Good or bad?
I'm just going to go with a memorable episode for me because it was the first episode I saw, and you guys are probably going to facepalm at this one because you'll know the notoriety of this episode.
I think I know.
I think I know.
Box Brain.
Yeah.
The episode where Spock has his brain removed, and then poor old Dr. fucking McCoy has to control him with that little remote control device. And
for this.
That was the first episode of the original series that I personally can remember seeing Spock's brain. And it's after that, if that's my first impression of Star Trek, is it any wonder that I never really gravitated towards it after seeing that?
I think that's forgivable. If that's the first introduction to Star Trek, yeah, you're entering in at the like that. That is amongst some of the worst. Even if you go YouTube it now, it's like amongst some of the worst episodes. That one,
yeah.
So yeah, it's not a great episode. But then you get episodes like the aforementioned Space Seed, you know, and the Balance of Terror.
Yeah,
which they've and more on that further down the line because the Balance of Terror has now been covered in a newer series.
Okay,
from a different perspective.
But right, Guy, your kind of personal favorite episode, or just an episode to you that was memorable?
The Trouble with Tribbles.
Yes. Yes.
Fucking brilliant fun.
Yeah.
A good
Just absolute.
Serious, dramatic comedy. It's got every genre going for it. That episode.
With a
Brilliant episode.
completely ridiculous pet.
It's, do you know, all right, I love that episode because it showed that although it was meant to be a serious science fiction show, it was not afraid to have a bit of a giggle from time to time. And that episode encapsulates that perfectly. The bit where he opens the hatch and he gets buried placed in tribbles. It's just a shower of freaking tribbles.
Which has even more context.
That scene alone has been memed and parodied and whatnot to death. So yeah, I can fully Trouble with Tribbles, brilliant episode. Jimmy Lee, go on, throw out a memorable episode.
Oh, a memorable episode. This is the thing with this. This is a very old franchise. So you want one.
One.
And one off of the top of my head is The Guardian of Forever. Because that was sort of my introduction to the idea of time travel and the butterfly effect.
Yeah. And science fiction and time travel as well.
That one's a proper science. It's a proper science fiction sort of episode. If you go and change this, and you're doing and it's the good intentions, which I love these types of episodes. Good intentions. This is the effect.
The road to hell.
But if you don't change it, then this is the effect, and it's just a very well, and it's got some comedy elements in there, especially with the fact that you're going back in time and you've got to cover Spock's ears. There's some, and it's just handled really well. That's just a generally overall handle. Guardian of Forever.
Fair play.
Well, but I guess we better move on
to the movies, I suppose.
Yes.
Quick, because there's a lot of films, and oh dear, indeed.
Are we keeping this like original series and then original line of movies, and then
up to the crossover? We'll get
to but we'll get just so we
Star Trek the motion picture. Come on then, guy. Star Trek motion picture.
Shite, boring.
I disagree.
It's the it's the celluloid version of watching paint fucking dry. I have watched it. Even as an insomniac who has trouble sleeping, I cannot stay awake no matter how hard I try whenever I watch the first Star Trek movie. I just can't. I can't get through it. It bores me to sleep, literally. So that's all I have to say on the first film. It bores me to sleep.
It is a difficult watch, but the reason why that one's improved a little for me is I watched a documentary. That film was incredibly hard to produce because I didn't know what to do at the time. And it isn't it really. It's another extended version of a previously filmed concept and idea from the original series, but it's a good concept, and it got the others kick-started. And I mean, I think that one came out in '79.
I haven't got the numbers here. I couldn't tell you.
I've
only got TV shows listed.
It came out around '79. If I'm remembering the years right, it came out about '79, and it did influence and help out in some ways with another franchise of a starred nature. But so there's some good things about it.
Some good things, but there's long, and I mean long, 20, 30-minute sections of it where not a lot happens.
Not a lot is happening,
we're going around the Enterprise.
It's a difficult watch. It is a difficult watch.
It's not a difficult watch. It's a boring watch. A difficult watch. That one. Watch, right, Mr. Clifford. A difficult watch is I Spit on Your Grave. A boring watch is Star Trek the Motion Picture. Very to the fucking spectrum. And I know which one I'd rather suffer through. And it's not Star Trek.
Which I know, because I know there's the
infamous
me up
here, guy. Come on,
there's the infamous odd and even rule of the original film.
That's bollocks.
It's kind of bollocks, but
it is bollocks.
Right. So the first film, two of us think it's pants. One of us thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced gold.
Well, democracy, 2 against 1.
Yeah, democracy, 2 against 1. The first film is officially poo.
The second film.
That brings us on to, wink, wink, what I personally think is the most overrated film ever made, The Wrath of Khan.
No, you don't. You just say
I'm
that to get
fucking
laugh.
joking. I like I
You
said,
can't get me.
That's my favorite. He's watched it, and that's my favorite. So, Guy, help me
you know
out
what? It's my favorite out because I have seen the original films, and out of the original ones, that one is my favorite because I like a good bit of Malteban. You know, just the way he talks, the way he acts.
Detests
Yeah.
it.
Yes, his lines are so goddamn quotable. It's just Khan returning from the OG series. It was like for fans, that was a big deal.
It was like,
Uh,
what?
yeah. Like if you'd seen the original series with the
Yeah.
episode with him in it, and then all of a sudden he's back.
We're going to SETI Alpha 5.
Yeah,
Wait,
it's
hold on.
like
Wait a minute. Ah!
yeah. So I do actually like Wrath of Khan, and out of the original crew movies, that one is one of my favorites. It's not my all-time favorite because I didn't watch it all in one go. It was one of those films that was on in the background, and I was quite young. I will get to my personal favorite in a little bit.
But you need this. You need this to kick off the next two films because of the Genesis device.
Yes, exactly. It's almost like a trilogy within the franchise.
It is. It is a trilogy within the franchise.
Yeah.
The effects of the Genesis device.
Yes.
Technically,
And the
it's a
ramifications.
Yeah.
Technically, it's a quadology. But
Shut up. Sorry.
Yeah, bollocks.
Don't interrupt us when we're on a flow.
I'm not trying to, but I think it's technically a quad because he does. That sort of ends with the one film, and some of the ramifications are still carried over into film number 5. But we'll get
Not
there.
really.
No.
Not major amount.
No. Done. Moving on. Right, Jimmy, quick. Your thoughts on Wrath of Khan in 30 words or less.
It's brilliant. It's got the right balance of science fiction stuff and action. It's the right balance. It's on par with my other favorite film from the original line of film.
Okay, then.
So,
what? Then that brings us to
Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock.
Where's he gone?
He's on the Genesis planet.
Is it?
Yeah.
He's growing up.
Died at the end of 2. Died at the end of 2, bless him, saving the bloody Enterprise.
Oh,
that made me cry
at the end. We don't want to get into that too much because I got nice makeup on. I don't want to fucking cry, but that ending.
So yeah.
To this day,
crazy kid
cracks me.
He's one of my favorite. Like I say, Leonard Nimoy.
Lemon Nimoy.
Lemon. Excuse my speech. Eat better than
Lemon Nimoy pie. Available soon.
Just play on that lead into it. Yeah, Lemon Nimoy. Yeah.
I'm gonna draw a picture now of the lemon with fucking Spock ears.
Lemon Nimoy pie. Available soon from Cali.
Lemon Nimoy pie.
First episode in, folks, and
that made me cry the first time I ever watched it and didn't know he was coming back for 3. So yeah, continue, guy. Go
anyway, right. So part 3, yes, the search for Spock, where we see Spock rapidly age and get it on with his mate Savick for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just friends with benefits.
Yeah. So yes, his soul is in Bones there, but his body's down on the Genesis planet. God, what are we gonna do?
Together.
But of course, pesky Klingons are after the Genesis device as well.
Yeah.
And then go and murder Kirk's son. Bastards.
Yes, they did. Yes, that's that one of the reasons this film is kind of famous in the Star Trek canon is it's the death of Kirk's son. It spurs on
the word bastards in it.
It's the word. It's the reason why he hates the Klingons.
Mm-hmm.
We get Spock.
And he's got a fantastically played Klingon with
Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd. Yes.
Of Back to the
Great
Future
Scott.
fame.
And you might see the soundtrack behind me there.
Yeah. But
just in the back.
But I think personally for me, the biggest kind of thing that this film did is it was directed by Leonard Nimoy.
Yes.
Leonard Nimoy.
It was his directorial debut, I do believe.
It was, yes.
Yes, and he did a fucking good job on it because he pulled double duty. He was in the film, he directed the freaking film, and I think he partly wrote the film with someone as well, didn't he?
Did he also sing the theme tune?
Yeah, he did the theme tune, he sung the theme tune.
He hummed it.
But Leonard Nimoy was one of those guys who was a bit of a jack of all trade when he was on set. He was an actor, he could direct, he could do cinematography.
He also suggested things as well to script writers. So, well, yeah, that's good, but also try this.
Little bit of trivia I found out recently. Tangent, people, first tangent of the season.
Okay.
One little bit of trivia I do know is that it was actually Leonard Nimoy's idea to come up with the Vulcan neck pinch.
Yes, it was.
And apparently Gene Roddenberry wrote him a very angry letter saying, don't ever do that again. Also, by the way, we're now using that from now on. So like, he hated the idea, but he adapted it into it anyway. He was like, I don't like it, but I'm keeping it.
Yeah, he hated it because it wasn't his idea.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of a running theme with Roddenberry.
I think it was a brilliant idea, like he said, because he's a logical character and he wants to take somebody out with the minimum force required. That's a good way of doing it.
Exactly.
But he's also an angry bastard at times.
Yes, but tangent done. Back to the films. Search for Spock. I liked it.
I liked Search for Spock. I think it's a great film.
A good continuation of the story that, like you said earlier, was set up in Wrath of Khan. If you're doing a series watch through, 2, 3, 4 follow on brilliantly from each other.
Yeah, because it's still the effects of the Genesis device. He's still getting bollocked for it in in the fourth film.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't get resolved until the fourth film.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, he steals and ends up having the Enterprise destroyed.
Oh yes, that was a big moment as well. Watching the Enterprise go boom.
Oh God, yeah.
I think next
Roddenberry was pissed about that.
Anytime a ship crashes, really.
Yeah, but Gene Roddenberry was furious about the destruction of the Enterprise because the way he saw it is that ship was a character in its own right.
Yeah.
And I kind of get it. It's, again, tangent here. Like in the Transformers movie when they killed off Optimus Prime, Hasbro just saw him as a toy. They didn't see him as the character. And I think with the writers of that particular Star Trek, blowing up the Enterprise to them was kind of it had to be done to show how desperate things had got. You know, it's that the thing you never thought would happen, it happened. So I think that is
turned certain death into a fighting chance to live, I believe is the.
I think guys fact checking. Are you fact checking?
No, I'm just have a message to pass. Sorry, folks. Just do this one. But okay. Carry on.
Okay, so yes, the third film, The Search for Spock, was very well received. I like it. Guy likes it. Jimmy likes it.
Yes.
That brings us on to the fourth film,
and arguably the best.
That's me doing Whale Song.
I will grant my son, with his affinity for all things sea life, does like that particular one a lot for the whale.
Right, for me, it's one of those films.
A film that is, you don't have to be into sci-fi or necessarily Trek to enjoy it.
No, that's a good point.
For me, when it comes to Star Trek 4, it's one of those films that, as I've grown up, my opinion of it most definitely did change. Purely because when I watched it when I was younger, I was like, so literally the MacGuffin of the film is save the whales. Wow, that's very ham-fisted. But I didn't get the nuances of the storytelling when I was younger. So it wasn't until watching it, you know, as I grew up, watching it few more times over the years that I've gone, actually, it is better than I remember it being the last time I watched it. Like, it's one of those things that if you watch it when you're too young to really grasp a lot of the themes and the implications and the context of things that it's talking about, it'll go right over your head. But when you understand it, it's like, I get it now. So I can kind of agree with Guy. It might possibly the best one in the original run.
As much as I love Wrath of Khan,
Yeah.
this has got more appeal for non-Trekkies.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it now.
There you go. You got an excuse to rewatch it now then. But yeah, I like number 4.
Maybe try and grasp a few bits because I've rewatched it a few times, obviously, but I might have to rewatch it again now. I have to go on.
I just love the fact that, you know, they're going, right, you're a rogue, you're in trouble, you nicked the ship, you got it destroyed, you set off Genesis, blah, blah, blah. Shit, save us. Save us.
I will admit,
Also save us.
One of the, for number 4 as well, that is absolutely brilliant idea of writing. When the whale ship fires the thing and it bang, and then this alien ship decloaks in front of them full view. That is still brilliant. I love the way, like, oh Christ, and they're trying to turn the boat around. Yeah.
I suppose then.
All of a sudden, Klingon bird of prey.
Yeah, Klingon bird of prey, decloak. Oh, Christ.
They're ringing the bell.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. I will read that scene's brilliant. I love rewatching that one.
All right, quickly on to the next film then, and I think we might all agree this is a hell of a misstep.
I think we might not all agree because go on.
Don't you dare like this film. Don't you?
I do like this.
So I will remove you from
I'm just going to warn you now. I'm going to come out with it. I like the next.
Right. Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, directed by William Shatner, and boy does it show.
Well, this is the thing. This was Shatner going, well, Nimoy directed. I want to direct now. It's my turn now.
Yeah, I think the biggest misstep, and again, finding this out only recently, is the fact that they made the baffling decision to, instead of go with ILM, who had done literally the first 4 films, they went with a new person who did certain things very well. The whole idea of how they portrayed God at the end was an in-camera, in front of the actor's effect, which, fine, great, brilliant way of doing it. That was about the only thing he was good at.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought that the visual effects you see in the film now, apparently a lot of the producers, when they were seeing that in the supposed final version of the film, they were like, isn't that like the pre-viz stuff? And they're like, no, that's the final version. They're like, really? Really? Oh dear. And do you know what? For me, this is how forgettable this film is. It wasn't until watching Center Seat that I actually remembered that Final Frontier was actually part of the film. I must have erased it from my fucking memory or something. I was like, Star Trek films, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's all of them. I didn't list Final Frontier.
No, Cyborg and his bollocks.
I hate, and watching just clips of it back, I'm like, yeah, I can understand why I don't remember this one.
Yeah, and his Iman for some reason.
It just, it was not good. It was not a good. Final Frontier was quite possibly the worst one.
Yeah.
Original run. Worse than the first one. Because at least the first one.
Not worse than the first one.
The first one, okay. Circling back around, the one thing I will say you can definitely say about the first, Star Trek, the motion picture, the special effects for its time are fucking brilliant, beautiful. For its time. You look back at that film and it's a treat for the eyes. Shame it just puts you to sleep while it's doing it. This one is kind of the reverse of that. There's a lot of story, but it's all crap.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it is.
I feel like I'm the elephant in the room.
Come on then, Mr. Jimmy Lee Clifford. Hit us with your... Come on, what is it? Go on. Number
This
5.
film it's hit and it's miss. It's
Mostly
got
miss.
really good bits and then it's got really bad bits. And I liked it overall. It's sort of a reasonable watch. It's too heavy on the story sometimes. It's lacking in special effects. I'll agree with that. Right? It's got one of the most memorable lines. What does God need with a starship?
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
that is one of the most
Okay,
memorable.
I'll give it that. It's got that one line in it, and that one line.
When they're
Big
actually
from.
questioning the entity that claims it has created the universe, what do you need with a starship?
Which is fair point, fair question.
Right? And I got the idea, the concept of it and that. And that's why I say it's hit and it's missed. And I did some of the scenes, some of the lower budget scenes, like where it's Spock, McCoy, Kirk, basically on shore leave, doing their thing. Kirk's off climbing mountains. Spock's sort of enjoying and
Yeah, but when you see
there's
how
some nice elements there. It's
when
just
you
a
see
shame
how those special effects were done there.
Yeah, and the one thing that pisses me off, but it doesn't piss me, and we'll get back to that on
Hurry
future.
up. If
Get back on that on the future. Having Spock have a brother out of nowhere.
Yeah.
At the
wonky.
time.
But anyway, moving on. Mixed opinions here. Both again, you're outvoted. We think it's crap. You think it's great.
It's reasonable. It's
Now,
not great.
for me, this next one, number 6,
This is
The
better
Undiscovered Country.
Oh, this one's
This is my personal favorite.
yeah.
Purely because nostalgia. It was the first film that I watched from start to finish. It was a Saturday afternoon film for me and my dad. And it was one of those things that we could bond over. And to this day, I still remember 2 of the funnier parts of the film. One is where they're looking for the owner of the magnetic boots. Locker. The camera pans down and he's got these big, horrible, gnarly feet. And they're like, no, I can't. No. That makes me giggle because it's a visual gag. And I love visual gags. The other one is later on when they're in the prison and he kicks that alien in the knee and he goes, oh, I'm just glad he had a bum knee. And then someone goes, what makes you think that every species genitals is between the legs? It turns out he kicked that alien in the balls. So that's what I remember it for. But that for me is my personal favorite. I
also like the what's it? They have the Klingons aboard the first time, and she sort of goes to Kirk. We do happen to have some Romulan ale aboard. Might make it go a bit easier.
Yeah.
Great. Cut to, after the do, and he's in his room, fucked. He's like, yeah. Note to self: Romulan ale is no longer to be served at function.
Yeah.
But what made him think that was a good idea, though? It's Romulan ale being served to Klingons.
It could have been Klingon whiskey. That would have been worse, I think.
Some wine, some Klingon whiskey, something would have got anything like that would have been better. You're serving two peoples that hate each other with a passion.
Mm-hmm.
The opposites one drink.
Hey, fuck it, keeps it in the middle.
Right, because we're fast approaching our cut-off point. We're going to jump forward now, and we're going to go with TNG, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Because once you get to the film number 6, the next film is sort of a crossing point.
It is, yes.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Next film didn't happen till after TNG.
Exactly. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But yes, Star Trek: The Next Generation debuted on September 28th, 1987 in America. Ran for 7 seasons and it finished its run on the 23rd of May, 1994.
And I'm old enough to remember it starting.
The only one out of the 3 of us that is.
And Jesus Christ, the first 3 series were dog shit, mostly. There's some decent parts, but mostly shite. But
again, much like the OG series, the casting choices off the charts. Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard.
Yes.
Brent Spiner as Mr. Data.
Screens of him wearing a toupee.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those. He looks
That,
ridiculous.
again, that was Gene Roddenberry not liking the fact that Jean-Luc Picard was not only French, but he was bold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful story from behind the scenes where apparently Patrick Stewart showed up at the costume department with a box full of wigs, and they just tried different ones on to see what worked. And eventually they just went, no, go with the bold. And Roddenberry relented in the end because he saw that was kind of what Star Trek needed. It needed something different.
It's natural.
Yeah.
Naturally bold. Leave the man natural. Nobody's going to be bothered.
You can't be all fluid about gender and all of this.
And
then go,
race,
well, you
nationality,
can't
all
be
the
fucking
rest,
bold.
and then not be fluid. You can't be not fluid about the fact that the guy's bold.
Exactly.
Let him be bold.
Exactly.
You can fuck whoever you want. You can't be bold.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
Roddenberry's utopian society. We are all as one. Oi, get rid of that baldy in the corner.
Yeah. Get a red shirt on him quick. Come on, fuck him off.
If you have no hair, you are automatically a red shirt. Gets rid of them follically fried fuckers.
Oh, that's where the funniest part is. They swapped the red because of the red shirt like in the first one. They swapped the uniforms for the TNG.
Yeah.
You're in gold. Oh, you're fucked now, matey.
Yeah, TNG had its teething problems in the beginning, but it finally found its way from season 4 onwards till its final episode.
Toward the end of season 2, I believe. Toward the end of season 2, they saw it was it picking up, and then season 3 because
season 3 had some dog shit moments.
The only thing I really remember from TNG, because I again wasn't really attracted to Star Trek. Purely because my first exposure had been Spock's fucking brain. Okay,
Don't get him riled now.
That put me off. But I do remember certain bits of Next Generation, and for me, the biggest thing was the storyline with the Borg. Jean-Luc becoming Locutus of Borg. That for me was
best of both worlds.
That was when I really kind of got more into Star Trek. It was that storyline that pulled me in a little bit more. So that was when I really started to pay attention to Star Trek, was the Borg stuff. Hence, eyeshadow for tonight. But yeah, go on then, Guy. Your little spiel with TNG. What were your thoughts and feelings on it?
I enjoyed TNG. Like I say, once it found its feet. Strangely enough, it's one of the only shows I think ever that has said, "Hey, if you send a script in, if it's good enough, we'll do it."
Yes, actually, and I did find this out recently that the episode where they brought back Tasha Yar.
Yeah, that was someone's.
Well, it wasn't just one person's script. It was a story outline that was given to them. And then several writers went and got different bits from different writers, story suggestions, and kind of stitched it together to make an episode and make the storyline work. And it's gone down as one of the best episodes they did.
Yeah.
So that for me is like, it's technically a fan-made episode when you break it down.
Yeah. Although Ronald D. Moore did have to keep chipping at it a bit and polishing.
Yeah, it wasn't a fully formed thing, but they came together and they brought that episode together and it worked. It fucking worked.
And of course, it's got Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore in it. So
yes.
Shooter. Anyway, but for me, I think TNG just
went up and up. Yeah,
it did go up and up, and it got a lot better.
Like the original series, it had a couple of bad episodes in there. I mean,
there's plenty of bad episodes.
It had a couple, but generally was on the up and up. Might have had the up and up and down a bit, and then back up again the week after.
But I mean, one of the highlights for me was Dwight Schultz appearing in it for a few episodes. I was just like, "Holy Mad Murdoch!"
Yeah.
And he's a pretty good actor.
One of the fan favorite characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Next Generation rolled into its own series of films, starting with Star Trek.
Well, no, actually, before that was DS9. I do believe
I'm not-
DS9 started. Well,
Yeah, DS9 started, and then they brought Generations. out.
Yeah, it says here Deep Space Nine, January 3rd, 1993 was the first episode.
Yeah.
So
That's what I thought.
just as TNG was finishing, Deep Space Nine was taking off, but there had been films with the TNG cast, and the first big one for that was Generations, where you had Kirk meets Picard, and Kirk fucking dies in that one.
Yeah. Twice.
Bit unceremoniously, but it moved the story along and it transitioned the films into the TNG cast.
Yeah. Kirk's got to die twice because Shatner says so.
Yeah, of course he has. But that leads into one of my personal favorite Star Trek films ever. Is Star Trek First Contact.
Yeah. Yeah, go with that. Good film.
Not just because it's a Borg-centric film, and you had the Borg Queen played by the amazingly talented Alice Krieg, but it also technically showed that the Federation is responsible for its own creation, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of my personal favorite films. They also had Insurrection and Nemesis.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's four of the I had to look. I had to look there in the back there.
But they all sort of, for me, those films sort of all followed on from each other. Like,
yeah, I think for me, First Contact was the best.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorites. Again,
I definitely like First Contact. I feel Insurrection is a little bit underrated, but Nemesis is nowhere near as good as either one of those two.
I liked Nemesis, but I don't know, something just felt off.
Yeah.
For me. I don't know what it was, whether it was because it was supposed to be the last film and then Data has this big sacrifice thing at the end, and then B4 shows up and he's basically a young I liked it. I liked it, but it wasn't the final hurrah that I was.
No, it weren't. No, especially. I mean, you got at one point Worf being encouraged to sing by Patrick Stewart, and no.
Yeah.
Swinging back round though, yes, as TNG was finishing, Deep Space Nine was taking off. And Jimmy, this was your personal favorite pick series-wise.
I'm gonna probably divide some people. It's got the best captain in.
Cisco.
I love Cisco. He's
an angry.
It's the episode which me and Cali kind of saw earlier, a little bit of background on the In the Pale Moonlight Batman referenced, and it isn't a Batman reference. It was confusion on that.
Yeah, the guy who named the episode thought that it was an expression out in the real world, but it wasn't. It was something made up for the Batman film.
Yeah.
So it's an inadvertent Batman reference in Star Trek, and I love that.
I didn't know that either, and I love that little fact. He thought it was a real life saying, and it isn't. But that episode sort of made it for me with Cisco
because I never really watched it.
It's a good. Honestly, it's that and It's Only a Paper Moon are they're my two favorite episodes from DS9. And
I never watched it. It didn't really appeal to me. The idea of it being set on a space station, one location, it just, for me, that wasn't Star Trek. Even with my limited kind of
there's a whole controversy to the aforementioned Babylon 5.
Yeah, but even I will say DS9 did it better. Just saying.
I don't know. On that one, I don't know.
Production, acting, writing, across the board, DS9 was better than Babylon 5. I'm sorry. That's end of. End of. It's a Star Trek episode, not a Babylon 5 episode. That's the end of that discussion. DS9 was better than Babylon 5.
moving
I'm going to go
forward,
get popcorn.
DS9. I just love that one. I mean, they started doing the serialized stuff in the later seasons. You had some returning cast, and some returning, reoccurring ones. So you got ramifications from TNG happening that ended up coming to fruition in DS9. Things like with the Gowron,
Okay.
especially.
But
You know, it's just
Guy, your thoughts on DS9? I didn't really watch it, so I can't really form.
I didn't watch much of it, but if you're going to watch an episode, I would suggest Trial and Tribulations.
that is a brilliant episode.
Yes, because it's a flashback to
The flashback to the
the episode. Yes,
Right.
I know
And
that.
you get Cisco and Dax.
yeah, and it is hilarious.
Oh,
See,
that's retro
happens.
uniform.
And you got Worf going, sat in the bar, and they're all asking, "Go, hold on, what happened? You look different. We don't talk about it." It's
Yeah.
like,
Which was
But
explained
perfect.
later down the line in Enterprise, but we'll get there.
But
Yeah.
DS9 ran for very much like TNG, 7 seasons. It had its
Yep.
final episode on May 31st,
And
1999.
as daft as it is, that wasn't the flagship because that was like introduced in TNG because there's some episodes of TNG that they go to Deep Space Nine in and they
Yeah.
basically show him what's coming. They released DS9, apparently, and I will admit, the first 3 seasons of DS9, they're dated, they're not the greatest, and it hadn't found its feet. It has got one episode in those first 3 seasons that gets rid of Q quite aptly because Cisco punches him. Yeah, literally punches Q.
Yes, Cisco's an angry twat. He's a
Yeah, he's
fucking
yeah.
angry twat.
I know
Cisco-
that just from
yeah,
the
and this is
the
why I
cursed
like
soldier and
another
shit I've
reason why I
seen.
like Cisco. Because Cisco also designed that what they like to reference as a tactical escort, because Starfleet does not do warships.
Right. Moving on.
Then we get onto your little segue.
We're
Voyager.
We're
Is
getting
the
on to
flagship.
my personal favorite, Star Trek Voyager. It started on January 16th, 1995. So DS9 was on its 4th season. And it finally finished its run on May 23rd, 2001. Again, stretching out to 7 seasons. And this one is my personal favorite. And I will do a quick explanation why, and then Guy can give us his thoughts and feelings on Voyager, because I know he's probably got some rather strong feelings on this one. For me, I liked Voyager because, here we go. In the OG series, TNG, it always felt like, let's go poke this hornet's nest and see what happens. Oh shit, we've caused trouble. We need to fix it. Oh, we fixed it. See you next episode. DS9 was just, hey, we're at the bar.
They had the bar, but they fixed things. Generally.
For me, Voyager was a show that them bumping into alien races and getting into trouble and having to get out of them was just a part of we're trying to get home. They were stuck 75 years actual traveling time, 75 years from home. They wanted to get back as quickly and without trouble as possible. But of course, you're going to bump into trouble in that kind of quadrant of space.
Do you have a map?
So for me, that felt like a show with a purpose. It's like they're not just bumping into these alien races because they've been given orders to go and fucking check over there and piss people off. They're like, we're trying to get home. And that for me was much more of I can believe that this is a thing. You know, for me, it just felt more real that they're trying to get somewhere. That was my look. And plus, not the first female captain, but the first female captain to lead a show. With Captain Catherine Janeway, played by the brilliant Kate Mulgrew.
Yes.
So go on then, Guy.
Yeah, that's the thing I do like about Voyager is that TNG and TOS, they're all going out. What's out there? Let's go see.
Oh shit!
I love this. In the first episode, they get in the shit. They're in a wormhole. They're fucked. Right, we got to go home.
Yeah.
I like that.
Home
I think,
75
there
years.
is- yeah, it's like
Home is in
we've
that
got a job to
the
do.
direction.
Yeah. Yeah. It was that was for me was the driving force. It's I want to see them get home.
And
Yeah.
there's, and I'll give you another two words while I like Voyager. Jerry Ryan.
7 of 9. Yeah, there was a lot of controversy when her character was first introduced because a lot of fans saw it as, oh, they're just sexing it up to get viewers in. It worked though.
Didn't it just?
Yeah. But and I love this about the character from their introduction at the back end of season 3 going into season 4 because it was a 2-part cliffhanger that bridged the 2 seasons together.
Yeah.
I
Much
love
like
the character of 7 of 9 as the series progressed up to its 7th season. You got to see this change in the character, the growth,
Yeah.
the arc,
The character growth is great.
I love that. Same with the Doctor, very similar because, again, he's an artificial being. His storyline and some of the things that they dealt with him when he did the writing, and he had the Hollow novels, and they said, oh, you can't earn any money from it because you're technically not human.
Yeah.
And all that kind of shit. Brilliant, brilliant storytelling. And if you look at Star Trek Voyager now, it has more important implications to what's currently happening in Star Trek than I think a lot of the other seasons and shows before it, because me and Jimmy talked about this when we first sort of put the idea of this episode together, when me and Guy were talking about it. If you think about it, Janeway has had more first encounters than any other captain in Starfleet history.
Yeah.
Including Kirk.
Yeah, because she's coming back.
Quoted in one of the episodes. You've now had close contacts in Kirk.
They brought back more advanced technology than they ever had before. The Federation now, and this is shown in Picard, mobile emitters. Where did that come from? Fucking Voyager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Voyager is actually more important of a show to modern day Trek than I think TNG is. No, for next episode, we will be talking more about Picard, but the way things are left there with the characters that are there, the captain of the new fucking Enterprise came from Voyager. Voyager's one of the best shows. Fuck you. I'm sorry, it is. It has a longer lasting legacy. Sorry.
No, I like Voyager.
Go on then, Jimmy Lee. You hit us with your Voyager stick. Come on.
I was a Kez fan to start with as well.
Oh God. I didn't like Kez. Sorry.
Kez.
Yeah, I liked Kez.
Kez.
You're competent.
In the first few
I can get so overlooked.
Neelix's bird. Neelix's missus.
Oh shit! Yeah, sorry. I'm not thinking no Kez.
I like Neil. This is the other thing.
Let's go for a drink.
I end up liking all the quirky characters as well. So I like Neelix. I can't help it. I like Neelix. Neelix got a towed onto that ship simply for the fact that he happened to know the quadrant they were in. And then his story developed, and it gets a little bit better. There's certain ones that he doesn't. I mean, I know Cali's laughing there.
I'm sorry, he's fucking.
I've done it. I've done it. First episode in.
You need a moment.
I've got images of my head of someone walking around Voyager with a fucking falcon on their arm.
We went on holiday for a nice walk with Kez.
I was off for a walk with Kez. All right, Janeway.
I'll just leave you your moment. We'll just extend the time a bit.
Kez saw 7 and 9 and juiced everywhere. Oh,
well, Q2 came in and just made her clothes disappear, and she didn't bat an eyelash. That's brilliant, that one. Just meant to embarrass me.
I'm sorry, I need to come back. Give me a moment. I'm so sorry. You fucking broke me with that one, guy. Right, yes, Star Trek Voyager. Had a 7-season run. It's more fondly remembered now. This is the kind of thing that I hear a lot about Star Trek Voyagers. At the time,
as well in the newest stuff.
well, at the time, a lot of people didn't like Voyager. They didn't get it. They didn't get what it was trying to do. But now, when people look back on it, they're like, yeah, it could have been worse. It could have been
Could
Star
have been a
Trek
lot worse.
Discovery.
I mean, like I say, I made the Battlestar Galactica joke. It's Star Trek does Battlestar Galactica. They're trying to get back and
Yeah.
or get somewhere, and they keep bumping into trouble. But
Well,
I'd watch
if
the
it wasn't
original-
for Trek, we wouldn't have Battlestar because it
Exactly.
started
Yeah,
while Dean was
I know,
brilliant.
and it's funny. I actually
Right.
remember we discussed that on the first episode I ever aired in.
We
on
have
this.
got. We're right at our.
We got 2 minutes. Right,
So, here
folks,
we
we're
go.
going to leave
Star
it here.
Trek Enterprise. We'll quickly cover that. I didn't really watch it. I watched the first season, didn't get into it, never watched
I
it.
didn't watch it.
I've now watched it, and
I might
I
go
find
back and
it
give
sad that it didn't. That show is the only one, bar the original, to get cancelled after the amount of seasons it had. You know, and they ended up.
It started in September 26th, 2001. Final episode was May 13th, 2005. It had a 4-season run. The only episode that I can remember from Enterprise is where it sort of picked up from First Contact, where a Borg sphere was frozen in the Arctic.
Yeah, it's the original Borg sphere in First Contact, frozen in the Arctic, and then they end up having problems with that.
Yeah, I only watched.
I
that.
remember a number of other
First
episodes.
Contact.
I remember the Zindi.
No,
But
nothing means nothing.
Yeah.
To me, sorry.
Didn't watch it.
I only watched the start. I only watched the Borg episode because for me it picked up and continued ideas that were in First Contact. That was the only reason I watched that episode. I saw, I think, 1 or 2 of the episodes when they were doing the whole Terran Empire storyline.
Terran
Other than
Empire,
that, I never watched Enterprise. It was something that I just could not get into. So
and that is generally how a lot of it went. It was very slow to start with. It got a little better in the end of season 2. Season 3 it was starting to get the quality back. And
The only
season
thing-
4, the quality went up quite a bit. And they were
thing I
supposed to
can
do a
really
season
say-
5. It got condensed and cancelled.
the
And
only thing
that's the first time it's happened to Star Trek since the original.
The only thing I can really say about it is, much like most of the Star Trek series, is the casting was good.
Yeah,
Scott Bakula as Captain Archer.
yeah, it was. Yeah,
No, I only want Bakula as in Quantum Leap, sorry.
yeah.
And that's why I didn't watch
Maybe it's secretly a
The
crossover.
secret Quantum Leap series.
it. Oh shit, out why when I leap shit.
It's secretly a Quantum Leap crossover. You know, he actually ended up in the far future piloting a starship. I don't know. Fuck it. But yeah, Enterprise. I didn't watch it. I
Did
can't.
get one of the worst send-offs as well, because the last episode
clearly
is
watch-
more of a TNG episode.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, where it's Riker doing it. I remember hearing about
Riker
that.
and the
doing his
hologram.
relational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From 11 at that point in time, an 11-year-old episode called about the Pegasus.
Mm.
But,
So
yeah.
yeah.
That's our Star Trek Part 1.
Part 1, yes. Right then, folks, we're gonna close it down now. We will be back. Well, I say we. Those two will be back.
Me and Jimmy will be
Somebody's
back.
busy again.
We'll be back next week, me and Jimmy, but Guy is gigging next week, which
Duty calls, rock and
hope
roll.
you have the greatest time ever gigging like you always do, honey.
Oh, of course.
Of course, of course.
Of course, it's a rock and roll.
Come on then, Guy. Take us home, lead us out, pull us in.
Right then, as you go down the barrel of life, folks, don't forget to make an entry in the captain's log. I certainly did last night after a few curries.
Wasn't that more of a Captain Splat?
Oh, baby, yeah. So anyway, folks, we're going to take it out. We'll see you next time. It is great to be back. Big thanks to Jim for coming on for this episode and for next week. We'll be back. Take it easy, folks.
Plenty more fun to come for the rest of the season.
And Cali, what you got to say?
Good night, everyone. Catch you next episode.
Jimmy, what you got to say?
I'll see you guys next week.
Booyah!
Where
We're
there
back,
might be a
baby.
rant. Where there might be a rant.
God. But good night, everyone. See you next episode.
Take it easy.
Bye.